The world is waking up to the power of crypto, and we are seeing this with new NFT and token launches every day, all using blockchain technologies. We're also seeing huge marketing spends by crypto exchanges and platforms, and so this season, we are speaking to the marketing leaders of those crypto companies. Hosted by Brave Software and me, Donnie Dvorin. You're listening to a new episode of the Brave Marketer podcast, and this one features David Feinstein, head of partnerships at SuperRare Labs. If you're not familiar with SuperRare, they are the premier digital art marketplace in the NFT world, and they often get compared to the new age Christies or Sothebys for the traditional art market. And what David does is he leads their partnerships team and works with top brands and agencies to bring NFTs and crypto art to the masses through empowering the artists and the collectors in the SuperRare community. I really think you're going to like this episode because we get deep into NFTs, valuing digital art like NFTs and how it compares to the economics of the traditional art world, how luxury products, designers, and brands can get into the Web3 game via the SuperRare marketplace, and with social media channels, with Twitter, how they've driven most of their business for them. Before we get into today's episode, we have the Brave Pick of the Week. So every episode, we choose a brand that's run an ad campaign with Brave as our Pick of the Week, and today we're choosing BTC Media. BTC Media ran sponsored images and push notifications to promote Bitcoin 2022 conference that's taking place in April in Miami. Brave users are crypto enthusiasts, so this was a clear-cut audience for them to promote to, and they saw a lot of success. And with no further ado, now for this week's episode of The Brave Marketer. David, welcome to the Brave Marketer podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Made it to Friday, alive and well.
And you've been traveling. You did some Jackson Hole, some ETH Denver. How were those trips?
It was awesome. I mean, there was no snow in Jackson Hole, but the amount of people that are interested in NFTs and crypto from the Jackson Hole side to obviously going right into ETH Denver, which was 20-something thousand people that were interested. It was just crazy to see, 3 years ago, there was 500 people at ETH Denver and ETH was $100. So awesome to see the progression of this.
Do you find that more people are interested in NFTs or in crypto right now?
NFTs are the hot topic. Everybody asks, is this the hype or the top of this hype cycle? It seems like everybody knows what Bitcoin and Ethereum is, and then everybody just is now just trying to figure out what the word NFT means, and is it just a bunch of made up Fugazi vaporware type of thing?
So what do you tell them when they say, are NFTs just these JPEGs that are getting charged a ton of money online? How do you answer that? Everyone's got a different answer for it.
So, I mean, yes, 98% of the things you see on a lot of these platforms, me and you can go create an NFT and yeah, it probably is going to be priceless. It'll be worth something to us or maybe to your parents or to your kid or something. So if you go and buy just something that is just out there and doesn't come from a person that has a community and following, and it's not tied to something that you would want or that has a demand from that community that you always hear about, yeah, you're going to probably feel like you got scammed and you think you just bought this JPEG that's worthless. What we're seeing and what SuperRare has done quite a good job of doing is we curate and make sure that we are picking the best artists that are creating content that is essentially going to, our goal is to curate the best top talent, make sure that it is real and authentic and it comes from the artist and not from a fake company or brand or name or Russian wallet or you name it. And our goal is to make sure that it's something that will hopefully, we don't promise this, but will have a chance of having a value in the future.
What's the biggest determinant of value for you?
So, I mean, in the art market, when you think of the traditional art market, it's a $50 billion market. Why is a Picasso or a Monet considered valuable? It has to be real. So you have to have confidence that it is the real one. It has to be something that other people want or demand. Obviously, that's what drives up the price or creates the perceived value. And then the provenance is there, like you know who bought it, who owned it before, that it is authentic. Those are the things that like ultimately create the value in our eyes.
So why don't we get a little bit more into the work that you're doing now? I always like to ask our guests, what is the most exciting thing that you're working on right now?
So, yeah, I'm head of partnerships, and what that consists of is figuring out how to work with brands and agencies and partners to amplify our super rare, like the community. So, I think the big things is fashion and luxury retailers they're all coming to us and saying, how do we get into this? And 98% of the time, we just let them know that they should probably find an artist or empower their designers. Maybe if it's the head designer at a big brand and they have these ideas that they want to create this new line of fashionable wearables, we would want to bring them onboard them to Web3, empower them via the SuperRare network along with the brand. Versus Web2 is all about this whole like Web2, and the traditional is the company owns you and you're an employee and you create these works and the company owns everything. So we're flipping it upside down, and most brands are like, don't get it, and it probably is going to take them a while, and they maybe will never get it. The ones that do get it are the ones that are, in our eyes, are the ones that are seeing successful and creating valuable NFTs by empowering these content creators that so happen to work at these companies to create amazing stuff. That is ultimately going to get them like organic marketing and have that community back them versus the other way around.
So for those who don't know SuperRare, can you give us just a general overview of the company itself?
Yeah, so SuperRare is the premier digital art marketplace, like for one of one, like high-end art for now. We are these Sothebys and Christies of this, like the new aged art market. So Sothebys and Christies are the traditional art marketplaces where you buy and sell, or where collectors would sell their Monets or Picassos. So we essentially, and they curate what, like you can't just take a piece of art and sell it like under Sotheby's. Like they essentially curate what they think people are going to want to buy. So what we've done is 2018, our co-founders created this marketplace, and they've decided that curation is key. Like we didn't want to just let OpenSea existed then, so we just wanted to have a standard. You had to apply to be on SuperRare, show that you are an artist indeed, that you have a craft, and put in an application. So fast forward to today, we have about, I think, 1,800 artists. There is 150 artists a day or applications a day coming in. And we have a curation team that goes through those applications. And now we're working with brands and partners that are thinking in the same way, that we want to curate the artists from their perspective or what they think is considered art, to enable them to create art on our platform.
Yeah. And you guys are built on Ethereum, right?
Yeah, so we're Ethereum based. The co-founders came from Consensus, so they're early on adopters of Ethereum. Also, we see that most of it is the most structurally, for now, it's like if you're going to create an NFT that you think is going to have long sustaining value, like you're going to want to put it on the most prominent blockchain for now, so which is Ethereum. A lot of our collectors or a lot of artists ask like when Solana or when Avalanche and all that. So I think like one day, I think if we look out into the future, SuperRare will be chain agnostic, and the artist will choose what they decide, and then the collector can decide like what the value is for if it's done on Ethereum or done on Matic or done on Avalanche.
Yeah. And is there a lot of curation going on SuperRare?
Yeah, I think there's 5 curators now. SuperRare 2.0, I guess that's a good leeway. Like we realized like, okay, right now, so many people want to get on SuperRare and we just don't have the bandwidth. So like, and also who considers what is good art? Like in Africa, the type of art there is going to be totally different, and probably like what our 5 curators think is good art. How do we really know? So we created this thing called, now we're a DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. And the whole idea behind this is now you can put in an application, whether you're an artist, a collector, or gallery, to essentially create your own virtual storefront or your own SuperRare franchise, essentially. So you have to put in an application, say, hey, I'm from, like, here's an example, one of our artists in Mexico City, Carlos Marcial, put in an application. He wants to highlight South American artists. And the community approved his application. So he just rolled out a SuperRare, essentially, called Metaphysica. We gave him all the tools that SuperRare created, but he's in control of the curation, or his team that he has like a couple of curators that he put together. So now he can essentially onboard, like right now he's onboarding emerging Latin American female artists, because we see that there's like essentially a discrepancy. Like we want to bring on more female artists into this movement and not it just be a male centric. Like our biggest thing is we're trying to figure out like, and we've done a good job at SuperRare, is like we're almost 50% male, female. So there's a lot of artists now that are creating DAOs or their own space to highlight females and do things to like bring artists, traditional and new aged artists, to this like phenomenon versus it just being male centric, which it currently is.
Got it. Great. So this podcast is all about brave marketing moments. So David, we'd love to ask you about your brave marketing moment. Is it a campaign, a product launch? What were the strategies and tactics you used?
Yeah, so I think the big brave marketing moment that we did last year, I had one of my chief designers that works closely with me come up with this monolith concept. So it was a play on the monolith from 2000 Space Odyssey. He wanted to create essentially a digital monolith. Like, if you remember during COVID, there was like monoliths popping up in the middle of like Moab and Utah, and people were like, what's going on here? So we kind of wanted to just put a monolith, which was just an LED display. This was his idea. He was like, hey, can we create this? I created the renderings. Can we do it for Miami Art Week, which was last December? We had about a month to go, and we already were booked out, and my marketing team already said we were full. I managed to find a partner down there to construct and create this monolith and fund it in like 3 weeks. And Miami just gets stuff done. Like the permit, I said to him, like, permits will take forever. There's no way we could look at it for like 2022. And fast forward, we got it all put together. We went to our community and went to our artists, and we had 52 artworks on there. I don't think we slept for like 3 or 4 days because we had to I became a curator at one point and was just trying to like put this thing together on top of everything else. And it was like the most organic, amazing thing we've done, where like these artists created works that were originally not going to create things, put it up, tweeted out, and told their community to go check this out in Miami if they're there. Collectors and people that just walked by saw it, took selfies in front of it, retweeted, reshared. So now, I mean, a lot of people get stuck in this whole like, what is a JPEG or NFT? But like now we're starting to see like we could put up an activation, like a monolith or a big screen, and enable these artists that typically are used to creating things that go on your phone or on the computer. And now we're getting out of COVID, and we could drive traffic and organic marketing via our community, and we're empowering artists. We're giving them an amazing way to showcase their work, or we're empowering the collectors to showcase their work and show it in, whether it's in Miami or if we do it at Coachella or a music festival, you name it. So that was like an eye-opening moment. And this year we're hoping to bring it to at least 12 cities around the world. So if Brave has any ideas, we're also down to do joint partnerships.
Yeah, we love doing joint partnerships. At ETH Denver, we partnered with the Near Foundation. They also put us on a bus that they had driving around. So our logo on that. And with the launch of our wallet, I mean, there's just so many partnerships. I mean, the main partner there is Solana, but we're, having swaps going on for Avalanche and Polygon and all the main players. So partnerships runs in the Brave DNA. And then, of course, there's pay for play, the ones that want to advertise on Brave. That's always an option too.
Last year, it was just us trying to do marketing and all these other things. And now we have like 4 people on marketing, which is amazing because they have budgets. And yeah, I'll loop you in. But we're an open book to like, if you come to us and say, hey, we're coming to this event, you want to bring the monolith, and we'll bring the artists and figure out ways, maybe we get an integration. Like, we're always open to figuring it out because we're all tackling this together.
Yeah. Do you have it all where you apply to the DAO for the marketing dollars, or the DAO is only for the curators and the NFT side of the business?
Yeah, I mean, we went as a DAO, or essentially switched it from being a company to a DAO August of last year. So now I'm an employee of SuperRare Labs, and then the SuperRare Labs has a contract or an MSA with the DAO to run it for the next 2 years. So there is like ultimately a marketing budget that is given to us to market, but we also do have quite a bit. It's the first profitable startup I've ever been part of. That SuperRare Labs has quite a bit of runway too, like whether we're covering the monolith or doing events, etc.
Got it. Yeah, I bring it up because like we worked with the nouns.wtf and we applied to their DAO for marketing dollars, and then they ran a couple sponsored image days, and so I got to see firsthand, the process of applying to a DAO to win marketing dollars. And we can have a separate conversation about SuperRare and advertising on Brave, but basically we have 55 million users, and 75% of them have traded crypto in the past 30 days. So I can't say this definitively, but we're pretty much the largest crypto-centric advertising marketplace that, crypto companies can advertise on. And there's a lot of products now. When I started, it was just push notifications, and then we added sponsored images, and a few months ago we added Brave News, and fingers crossed in April, we have search. So similar to Google AdWords, you'll be able to buy search ads right on the Brave browser. Anyway, so as far as your marketing goes, you said you haven't done a lot of it, but you've done some. What's worked well? What hasn't?
Well, so going back, we finally did like a marketing persona and see like who it is. And of course it was who's coming to our website, and it's of course crypto-centric people that we're going after. That's like the low-hanging fruit. So I think there are many ways that we could partner, whether it's paid or organic. And yeah, 55 million users that are into crypto is obviously a great sign and what we're looking for. I think for us, like the big thing, and I've been in crypto for quite some time, so we're going through like a big redesign, but it's really like, how do we make, like, to the regular crypto user, and I think this is not just a SuperRare thing, but like Web3, like connecting a wallet. First off, when you talk about a wallet, it scares people, and then everybody's starting to hear. So I think a lot of people get scared when it comes down to signing up, and we see a lot of people drop off, like when it's like log in or sign up and you have to connect your wallet. So we're going through like the whole process of figuring out like how to make that an easy, seamless process. From the marketing perspective, it goes back to like, I mean, everything, at least for us, is pretty much done on Twitter. Like Twitter runs the game. So we are always coaching and talking to our brand, any brand or artist that is aspiring blue chip artists or anybody that's trying to get into the space, is we just say, get your Twitter up and running. Like that's where most of our business and most of the big NFT sales happen. And it's the most organic way for now that we're seeing traffic and business. So a lot of the artists are like, hey, we got 1 million followers on Instagram, but we have yet to really see as much like traction or like traffic from Instagram to SuperRare, or at least in the form of like new client or new like collectors or artists. So that's the biggest thing. And a lot of people are scared. Like I had 10 followers too a year ago, and it just takes time and it's just not easy.
David, you've had some big name investors. Early on, you had Mark Cuban, you had Ashton Kutcher. So there was an infusion of dollars. And so, what's the best ways you've been able to leverage those dollars, for marketing or for other things?
Yeah, so I mean, when we got this, we did a $9 million Series A, like right when I joined, and it was to grow the team out. So I think I was like under 10 employees or 9 employees, but the most of the marketing has been through building like community efforts, like building out the Discord, getting a community manager, creating like a very easy onboarding flow for artists and ways to just like enable like them and empower the like it's essentially teaching them how to like be successful. So it isn't like the most it's not like we just paid to like get ads. Like we have yet to really do any of those paid advertising. It's been going to these events and like so we've obviously been attending like Miami Art Week and a lot more like Ethereum Denver and doing a lot more like our own party for the first time. But it's not that thinking back to other startups I've been part of and thinking of other investors, it's really all about like putting like we now have several people that are running our Discord and our community efforts and our chat like features. Because really what it is like how do you make the artists and collectors can go to a million platforms? Like why do they pick SuperRare now when there's like 35 or 40? I mean, just on this sheet that I follow. And what we've done and where a lot of the marketing goes to is into like, how do we train these people to be sufficient on their own? Kind of like what, I mean, you can just see like from our sales and like volume has just been increasing.
Can you share any metrics on your volume?
Yeah, I mean, it's all on chain. So I think we've done in the last year, I think it was like 240 million US. Shopify does. Like if you want to open up a store to sell shoes, they give you all the tools and resources and help desk features and like how-tos to be successful. And that's kind of like what we've done at SuperRare, which ultimately keeps people coming back.
Yeah. And how are you measuring the impact of
that? In volume. I think the big key thing is that almost half of that, or like 45% of that, is secondary sales. So that's the big differentiator. And like when you're asking like how do you know if these are they going to retain value, which we obviously can't promise, it's art. But if you look at the history of like the artists that we brought on, and if we kind of like give them the tools and resources on like, hey, this is what the successful ones are doing, and this is the ones that like if you want to create a ton of art, it's all about like creating digital scarcity and like making sure that your collectors, when they buy it, depending on where you're at, like we let the artist decide where they fit in on the ecosystem. We have some artists that might create 300 works and they'll have a lower price point, or you might have some that create one every 3 months or one every 6 months. So our thing is that like our average sale is like around 10 to 12 ETH, which is quite high comparably. The other part is that the secondary sales is now starting to really just ramp up, and we're starting to see like more secondary sale volume than there are primary, which is not happening anywhere else.
So early on, we talked about some of the events that you've been attending, ETH Denver and Jackson Hole. But what about events that you guys have hosted, and has there been anything successful for you?
So we haven't like had our own. We had an event like aside, like a collector meetup or a SuperRare community meetup during ETH Denver, and had a few of our like artists like play and just get everybody together. I think this summer we're looking at doing like SuperRare awards, like let the community decide like best female artist, best male artist, and kind of let the community curate like what awards. And we talked about doing this, I think, in London this summer, and it's in the works. Other than that, that's about all we have on the docket. But we typically like, other things that we're looking at, another couple of things is like everybody saw, I don't know, did you see that Sothebys did a auction the other day or tried to sell off like 100 CryptoPunks and they pulled it like last minute?
No, I didn't see it. How'd it go?
Well, so they tried to do an auction like off-chain with on-chain like NFTs, and something happened to where like they flew everybody out, everybody came in New York, they pulled it, and they essentially ended up not doing it. So there's been times where like Sothebys and Christies will do auctions, and they'll just like if it doesn't sell for a certain price, they'll just cancel it. So I think in March we're going to be doing something, I guess at the end of March, with Tagliatola. It's a big blue chip gallery in New York, and we're going to highlight traditional artists and bring them onto Web3, onto the SuperRare, and then also bring some of our collectors that have like these like original like NFTs to sell them and let it be done all on chain. So the whole idea is that like nobody, whether it's SuperRare or entity, can just like cancel the auction. Like it's up to the buyer and seller to decide. And we know for a fact that like the funds are there and it's empowering the collector and the artist versus letting a central entity like Sothebys or Christies decide that like it's not a high enough price, so they're going to just cancel it. So we're going to have a few of those coming up this year. I think it's a lot of our collectors and communities asking for this. Like, hey, why do we need to like play by the old rules where they can just cancel something and put the control back into like the people that are actually like creating and selling and wanting to make the transaction happen.
Yeah. So stepping out of SuperRare and just kind of looking at the whole marketing landscape for crypto advertising, you mentioned Twitter being very good. Where do you see kind of crypto advertising going over the next year or two? Or
yeah, I mean, I guess we saw like all these FTX and crypto.com, and I mean, we still have a very like niche market like place, so we always get hit up asking like, do you want to sponsor this team and all this? And for now we're just very concentrated. Like it doesn't make sense to like take that until we have like an offering or like the ability to like have smaller price things that like more people can afford. It doesn't make sense. But like I think what's going to happen, this whole Web3 movement where it's like you can give coins or a membership or a NFT, like I think there's going to be a lot more of these companies that use like what Coinbase did, where maybe you scan the QR code and you get an NFT and then it unlocks something.
yeah, we've been getting approached by so many, mainstream advertisers from Dentsu and IPG and Group M, and all their brands are saying, how do we get into NFTs? And it's really hard to conceptualize NFTs. And what I say to them is, an NFT, just think of it as like a digital coupon. Like, let's just start there. So if you had a coupon, you would go and redeem it in the store and you would buy some, Starbucks or McDonald's. It's not really a coupon, but, you use your app. So imagine that's the NFT. But then that NFT has cool artwork. So you can use the coupon, then you can resell the NFT after you use it. Then there's a secondary market. And then it's like, oh, I was one of like, the first 1,000 people that used the NFT to get 20% off of my Adidas sneakers. And then it's like an image of those Adidas sneakers. And there's just so many ways that you can just keep taking it. So I like to start with like the coupon as the way to understand, to explain it to the marketer that's just getting into NFTs. What are other use cases and how would you explain it to a mainstream marketer?
Yes, I've been pitching it to artists and photographers. Photography is like the big buzzword, or like where we are seeing like a ton of interest or traction. And everybody's like asking for like, what is the utility behind it? So I've suggested to this is an example, like REI, big like sports store, like out here, like if you want to go camping or backpacking, they have all sorts of photos. Like this is apparently they hire a photographer to go take all the photos in that region, and then they decide what to put up. Photographers take thousands of photos. So what if we did something where the photographer mints all those photos, and that's like the NFT, those are the placeholders for like the membership. They already have a membership card where you get like 10% off a year and all sorts of other things to like entice you to come back. And they could essentially either use that as an NFT or even sell it for like a very small amount. And the coupon is a great idea, but it's really a coupon that just keeps on giving. And once you get sick of that coupon, yeah, you can go give it to somebody else or sell it. I think, at least from the SuperRare perspective, it's an interesting way to empower these people that you normally, or artists and creators that you would normally pay a very small fee for, and then they can now get a 10% royalty for the life of anything they create. And they can also empower these brands through their artwork or photography or whatever it is as well. So I think the whole NFT thing is, a lot of brands and companies don't really understand the power of like having all these cheerleaders, all these holders organically going out and promoting your product if you put some thought and create a way to like give back to those holders for doing that.
Got it. Cool. Well, we're coming up on time here. This has been fascinating. I love the NFT conversation. And I always say that our most listened to podcast, I think to date, was the one where I interviewed Luke Mulks on the BizDev team here at Brave. And we were talking about NFTs the entire time. So David, maybe you'll beat him because NFTs seem to be a very, very popular topic. So any last words for the listeners before we tie up the podcast?
Yeah, I mean, would love to come check out SuperRare. We're opening up with these spaces, there's going to be just so many more chances. If you're a creator, or if you haven't got into NFTs, whether you're an artist or photographer, give it a shot. You can go mint a free NFT, or your own NFT on OpenSea. Does Brave do NFTs yet?
Well, we have a wallet and we're adding NFTs. And then so many advertisers are using the advertising units that we have to advertise their NFTs.
Cool. So yeah, go mint your NFT and get on SuperRare. And by the time this goes live, maybe we can get to be part of that wallet.
David, thank you so much for coming on the Brave Marketer podcast. We really enjoyed interviewing you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Donnie, for having me. Really enjoyed it. Have a great weekend.
If you like what you heard today and found it valuable, it would be super helpful if you took 1 minute to leave us a short review in Apple Podcasts. Every review counts in helping us get to our show in more ears. On one final note, if you have a brand, product, or service that you'd like to get in front of Brave's over 50 million users, please email us at adsales@brave.com and let us know you are a podcast listener to unlock one of two perks. If your budget is under $10,000 a month, we will bump you up to the top of our self-serve waiting list. Or if your budget is $10,000 or over a month, you'll qualify for a 25% podcast listener discount. Again, email us at adsales@brave.com. And finally, a huge thanks to my brother, Ari Devoren, for all of the music that you hear. And until next time.